The station was still full of voices. None of them belonged to anyone the galaxy could save. 2 outbreak sites had already taught the same humiliating lesson. The living plague spread fastest through the clean, stable worlds that believed danger could be polished away. Now it was inside Aster Gate, a core evacuation spindle so refined that no alien rescue team could stay alive in the worst sections long enough to map them. So the galaxy sent humans again. Boarding calls still chimed over the abandoned concourse. A child asked for her mother from a looping assistance kiosk. Somewhere deeper in the ring, an emergency lullaby played to a ward that no longer answered back.
Masks tight, mixed air feed only. If your suit starts running clean cycle on its own, kill it manually. The station will try to make you comfortable right before it kills you.
I have no telemetry from the first 3 rescue teams past this threshold. Not static, not distress bursts, just absence.
That means they died fast enough not to argue about it.
The concourse looked untouched from a distance. Up close, the lie dissolved. The floor carried a wet black-red sheen. The wall panels breathed in shallow pulses. Thin glossy strands ran through the light fixtures like cable roots searching for a spine.
Passenger biosigns.
3 clusters, 1 fading, 1 moving, 1 hidden under the main ring in a maintenance cavity no civilian should know exists.
Then someone taught them where the station still hates this thing. We start there.
The shortest path to the hidden biosigns cut through an environmental transition spine where passenger climate bled into service atmosphere. It was the kind of corridor core architects used to hide the work that made elegance possible. The temperature jumped from freezer sting to engine room heat in less than 20 steps. Metal grates sweated. Frost cracked. Every regulated suit system on the station had been designed to smooth those changes out. The plague had turned that smoothness into a weapon.
Your seals just took particulate scoring. Elias, Toma, both of you should be slowing down.
We are slowing down, human version.
If I were moving any slower, I'd qualify as architecture.
Lyra watched her field scan update across Elias' shoulder. Stress hormones spiked, then stabilized. Microtears registered in muscle and airway tissue, then stopped widening. The human body did not ignore damage. It negotiated with it while still moving.
Your species recovers decision-making ability during load events faster than the rescue models allow. We classified that as recklessness.
You classified it from outside the fire.
A service hatch ahead shivered, bulged once, then split open under its own lock.
That door isn't broken, it's listening.
Biosigns confirmed beyond it. 17, several juvenile body masses.
Then open wide and be rude about it.
The hatch opened into a maintenance void crammed with duct residue, coolant mist, grease-stained tools, and enough bad airflow to make civilized lungs protest on principle. It was also full of the living. Passengers huddled behind torn insulation sheets and manually pried filter housings. A cargo loader had been turned sideways into a barricade. Someone had painted arrows on the wall with emergency sealant, marking dead ducts, safe pockets, and doors that twitched before they attacked.
Smart, real smart, who started this hideout.
An elderly station fitter lifted a shaking hand. Her face mask was cracked, but her eyes were hard with the special fury of someone who had survived long enough to become practical.
You did the right thing. You stayed near dirt, heat drift, and bad circulation.
The contamination density here is lower. Not safe, just confused.
Confused is good. Confused means it has to think.
The fitter pointed toward the passenger transfer wing above them.
Talk to me.
Her voice came thin through the damaged mask.
She says the clean med corridors called people in with live voice prompts, said filtration was stable, said help was waiting. Most of the ones who followed never came back.
There is more, heat and fluid movement in the wall conduits above us. The plague is not just spreading across surfaces. It is traveling through climate control veins toward the transfer wing.
Toward the biggest pocket of stable life support on this side of the ring.
The station was not hunting randomly, it was circulating. Elias ordered the maintenance survivors to stay dark while he, Toma, and Lyra cut across a narrow service ladder toward the transfer wing. Halfway up, Lyra stopped them under a flickering panel and forced a fast field scan.
Hold still, I need 30 seconds of data before I say something irreversible.
In my experience, those are always the fun sentences.
The scanner painted Elias in amber bands and Toma in trembling blue. Inflammatory markers rose, crested, and settled. Tissue strain remained high, but cognition metrics recovered almost immediately after each stress spike.
I was wrong about what I was seeing in the human data. This is not brute tolerance. Your systems absorb variability, then restore function before panic can lock the decision loop. You stay operational inside conditions our species experience as full systemic betrayal.
That's a poetic way to say we keep going when things get ugly.
No, it is a precise way to say the galaxy mistook adaptation for low standards.
Below them, the wall vents pulsed in sequence, almost like arteries trying to remember a heartbeat.
There you see that timing, it's routing heat and moisture in cycles.
You think the climate system is acting like a circulatory network.
I think the station has veins now, and every clean pocket with stable air looks like an organ it wants to reach.
Good, I missed simple problems.
Outside the infected sectors, Auditor Seren Vale stood in a command gallery sealed behind 3 quarantine partitions and a wall of frightened officials. The Corps had finally accepted that humans were useful. It still had not accepted that humans might be right.
Negative on sector venting. Civilian signatures are still active in transfer wings C and D. You do not get to rename living passengers as acceptable loss while my teams are inside.
A council liaison demanded immediate purge authority. Another invoked contamination doctrine. A third asked whether the human commander had been informed that his mission was now data recovery only.
Commander Vance was informed. He declined to become useless.
That bought her 12 seconds of silence and nothing else.
Seren, we need time. The plague is routing through climate control infrastructure toward the transfer wing.
You have what time I can steal, but Command has triggered backup station sterilization. If it completes a full clean burn, every heated corridor in your sector becomes lethal.
How long?
9 minutes if I keep making powerful people feel legally nervous.
She's really grown on me.
The passenger transfer wing had once been designed to move families between liners without ever exposing them to industrial noise. Now it looked like a cathedral built for panic. Emergency cots filled the corridor. Manual filtration cloth hung over intake grills. A nurse with burned hands held a mechanical valve open with a length of luggage strap. Behind her, children slept under silver thermal wraps beside silent transport capsules.
No, not again.
For one bad second, Toma was back in Kepri 9, staring at another room saved only because someone had chosen to die stubbornly by a machine.
Toma, stay with me. I need a live count every 30 seconds. Give me numbers, not ghosts.
32 warm bodies, 6 critical, 2 infants in low-flow capsules. Valve pressure unstable, happy now.
Better keep doing that.
The wall cavities are thickening. The plague has found the main life support manifold for this wing. If sterilization fires cleanly, the manifold flash heats and this whole corridor becomes an oven.
The nurse did not ask whether rescue was possible. People in failing stations learn not to waste breath on hope unless someone made it physical.
Then we don't stop the lattice, we ruin it.
That sentence should worry me more than it does.
Elias crouched by an exposed service panel and drew the route in grease across the deck plating. Climate veins, dirty trunks, thermal sinks, old maintenance scars. The map looked less like engineering and more like a brawl.
The lattice expects symmetry, even heat, even burn, we give it none of that. Toma and I cut into the control vanes, dump heat into already lost corridors, and force the sterilization pulse to stagger section by section.
A broken pulse would still burn contaminated zones, but it would create survivable troughs between peaks. Enough for extraction corridors.
Exactly, ugly, manual, and good enough.
Human engineering slogan of the century.
Command wants a reason not to purge immediately.
Tell them if they ignite the ring now, they cook a civilian wing and destroy the only evidence trail we have.
I was planning to tell them something colder, but yours is more honest.
I can map the pulse delays if you give me manual junction access. Elias, I am past skepticism now. Tell me where to stand.
Close enough to help, far enough to survive my mistakes.
The control vanes ran behind the passenger walls as narrow service tunnels packed with coolant pipes, thermal shutters, and black-red growth pulsing around the joints like muscle trying to learn machinery. Heat slammed from one side, frost climbed from the other. Every few seconds the ducts exhaled wet air that smelled of scorched filters and sweet rot.
Junction ahead, Toma, breaker saw.
I knew there was a reason I didn't die 2 episodes ago.
He jammed the saw into a maintenance seam. Sparks snapped. The biofilm recoiled, then surged back, glossy and furious.
Lattice charge just increased. Seren was right, they are arming early.
Of course they are. Why let terror mature at a healthy pace?
A wall panel split beside him. Wet strands lashed for his mask. Toma froze just long enough to remember every locked room he had already survived.
Toma, look at me, not back then, right here. Cut left, dump the sink, keep moving.
Right numbers, not ghosts.
He ripped the thermal sink line. White vapor blasted through the tunnel. The growth spasmed, lost rhythm, and peeled away from the junction housing.
Good again, the pulse is stuttering. Elias next valve in 6 meters.
Then let's teach this station how to limp.
At the lattice junction core, Elias drove a manual override bar into the emergency wheel and forced the mechanism open against motor resistance that felt almost alive. The spindle answered with a sound like a giant inhaling.
Lyra, on my mark. Toma, dump the second sink. Seren, route every pilot you've got to transfer wing C. The door is about to exist for a very short, very unfriendly amount of time.
Pilots are moving, several are objecting, I am letting them.
Pulse map ready. If this works, the sterilization wave will break in intervals instead of one continuous burn.
If it doesn't work, complain about me in the official reports. Mark.
Toma tore the sink release. Elias heaved the wheel. Lyra triggered the stagger sequence. White fire raced the corridors in broken pulses, not a cleansing beam, a hammered rhythm. Burn, gap, burn, gap. The black-red sheen blistered and shrank. Doors that had been fused under glossy growth snapped open in clouds of steam. In the transfer wing, the nurse dragged the first cot toward the new corridor. Toma's live count became a shouted cadence. 32, 32, 31 moving, 31 moving.
Extraction crews on approach, ignore command protest, fly the lane.
Keep them low and ugly. Clean approach paths get people killed.
Shuttles punched through the docking haze just as the next burn wave hit. Human pilots rode the gaps. Civilians poured through heat shimmer and falling ash while the plague reeled inside a system, no longer allowed to behave perfectly.
I understand it now. The galaxy called human survival crude because it only measured elegance under ideal conditions. But this is precision inside chaos.
Call it whatever helps you keep the next door open.
Minutes later, the last shuttle tore free from transfer wing C, with scorched hull plating, and too many survivors packed into every strap and cargo net it could spare. For the first time since entering Aster Gate, the team had something close to a win. Not safety, never safety, but breathing room earned the human way.
Final count from the wing, 32 alive. That's rude enough to qualify as hope.
Command is calling the extraction a procedural violation. I intend to cherish that.
Wait.
Lyra's scanner had not relaxed with the rest of them. Across her display, contaminated corridors were still shifting in ways the staggered burn should have interrupted.
What do you say?
Adaptive rerouting, signal discipline. The growth changed course before each pulse landed.
Old automation, residual pathing.
No, I have a command thread buried under the spindle's civic channel noise. Compressed, masked, still transmitting.
Lyra widened the trace. A line of live control bursts blinked from somewhere deeper inside Aster Gate, below the public decks, below the sealed labs, below any place rescue crews had been told to search.
You're saying someone is in there now?
I'm saying someone is steering it, live.
Humans had survived the station. No alien could even enter. The reward for that survival was worse than another rescue order. It was proof that the plague had never been alone.